うわ、さすがに無茶だわ。
Flat on her back, Aoko looked up at the night sky. Even so, that was pretty badass of you. She lay there perfectly still, not able to move a single finger. When she tried, her whole body screamed out in agony. She was completely empty of magical energy, and her magic quest had come to a halt. She estimated that it would likely require a whole day to recover all her bodily functions. Sadly, all she could really do in that moment was take a breath. At least her chest was filling with pride. She had gone toe-to-toe with the fairy tale monster that had emerged victorious. The battlefield conditions had favored her, it was true, but there was no denying that Aoko had come a long way in the last 6 months.
それはそれとして、アリスには謝っとかないと。プロイって壊したらそれっきりだものね。
Flat Snark would never again return to this world. It was an insanely rare item, so invaluable that it would have been impossible to price it for auction at the association in London. Aoko had sent Alice's priceless treasure of the magecraft world to oblivion. Needless to say, things have gotten more than a little out of hand.
まあ、でも。
She had both agreed to the fight, so Alice probably would not complain. Even if she was furious, she would never be so undignified as to show it. The second Aoko relaxed, her fatigue finally caught up with her. She did everything in her power to fight out that overwhelming drowsiness. Aside from a few minor internal injuries, her body was miraculously unscathed. So much so, she felt that she could probably stand up and dust herself off after a bit of rest. The golden moon continued to burn in the night sky.
正体は油だものね。そりゃいつまでも燃え。
Aoko's bleary eyes went wide in astonishment. She was still unable to lift a finger.
そっか。スナークを見つけたベイカーも最後は一緒に消えるんだっけ。
She sighed in resignation. Aoko considered that her final stand left her with only 10 seconds before she burned to ash too. Elsewhere, just a short moment prior. Buffeted by strong winds atop the roller coaster, Soujuurou gravely peered down at the ground.
Mumu?
Mumu? All he could muster was a single murmur. He could see Aoko on top of some drawing at the ground, and...
なんだあれ。いくらなんでも頑丈すぎないか。
In the distance, there was something familiar in the direction of the ruined house of mirrors. Soujurou's job to throw Aoko's hair from a great height was complete. Wait, what, is it that doll again? Well, not the most impressive of tasks, it was absolutely a matter of life or death. And to top it all off, just thinking about how he was going to get back down to the ground was making him dizzy. He had experienced more than enough trouble for one day.
いや、でも、あれ。
He was flustered as he stood atop the swaying bridge. A skull suddenly appeared in the sky above. On the ground, he could see a circling blue light with Aoko Aozaki in the middle of it. And one more thing. A shadow was approaching Aoko that only someone from his vantage point could see. A shadow missing the lower half of its body. The upper half of its body was slowly clawing its way to Aoko. They were still over 600 feet apart. Unfortunately for Aoko, she completely failed to notice it approaching from behind.
遠くて見えないけど、あれは
He was sure of what was now. There was only one thing in the park that would chase Aoko and not him. The puppet?
いや、でも、ほら、あるいは、ひょっとして、ただの偶然ではないだろうか。
His mind ran in circles. That was a perfectly reasonable reaction. Any grip on reality he might have had left was long lost when Aoko started firing beams of light at the monstrous moon. Aoko's merciless fire buffeted the roller coaster like a storm. Just then again, it was almost enough for him to be thrown off and killed. At any rate, Soujuurou couldn't fathom the situation. Should he head back to the entrance of the roller coaster and warn Aoko about the incoming threat? No, there was no way he would make it in time. And to make matters worse, there was a horde of bread down there waiting for him. And it may very well have been the case that Aoko was already aware of the puppet and would take it out as soon as it got closer. If she was, Soujuurou was sure he would only be in the way. It did not seem like there was anything he could do to help. And beyond that, Aoko was not the only one in danger. He was in quite the predicament himself. You can't go home again. The road home was never as safe as one thought. It was as true here as it had been in the mountains. The bed he was on was no exception. As risky as the ascent has been, it was even more dangerous to go back down. This was no time to be worrying about others. His shaking legs reminded him that only 200 feet separated him from death.
大丈夫。それは分かっている。けど。
His head was pounding. This was reckless and stupid. Having been raised in the mountains, he was more sensitive to danger than anyone raised in the city. And just thinking about what he was about to do made his throat seize up. There was only one thing he could say for sure.
青崎のことだ。あれに絶対気づいていない。
With a sobbing shout, Soujuurou started making his way down the 200-foot frame of the roller coaster. His race towards that accelerated. He never meant to speed up, but the downward slope propelled him forward.
この
It was too late for regrets. Now that he was running, he had no choice but to go even faster. And time was not on his side. An arrow would have made it in time if he did take it a long way down. Never mind the breadmen crowding the exit of the roller coaster. With the exits blocked, the outcome would be the scene whether he went slowly or quickly. There was no reason to rush to his death as desperately as he did.
だから。
So what if it was futile? Soujuurou cleared the doubts from his mind. He turned his attention to what he could do, keeping his footing and tried to arrive at the bottom as quickly as he could.
間違えるな。今大事なのは間に合うとか助けられるとかそういう結果の話じゃなくて。
He had no idea what impulses were driving his stiff limbs. He just focused on the moment, pushing past the fear and the cold logic. At his core, he was the kind of person to deal with problems head on. There would be time to think about consequences later. But hesitation was not his only obstacle.
こんな時に。
The worst possible hindrance appeared at the time, and not focusing on the track would mean certain death. Soujuurou sensed something wrong with the egg he had been so studiously observing out of one eye. Something had changed. I can mirror this and then read. Oh, it says Queen Alice Moongrass. Okay, cool. Thank you. Anyways, and at a better moment you realize that. We're gonna read
Yoそ見してる場合じゃない。
Soujuurou stumbled and instinctively cut himself. It was a miracle he had not fallen. Standing a roller coaster on foot was an act of suicide. The egg stayed right by his side, so close it was likely it would collide with him. Though he was trying as hard as he could not to look at it, he could not help but feel unease as the door-like decoration at its center was gradually opening.
ああもうちくしょう。なんだってこんな。
He cursed his rotten situation, and yet he refused to slow down. He ran even faster, glaring at the egg on his side.
本当おかしい。こんな状況なのに。
Sorry, that's what's going on. Soujuurou was baffled to find that he was smiling. Perhaps it had something to do with Aoko's charm. Soujuurou could... It does not just hit me with a badass reference there. Soujuurou could not tell one way or the other. He could still feel Aoko's finger on his skin. I mean, the rest of it is also pretty badass, but... the actions, the trust and expectations she had placed in him was etched into his heart. But what spurred him on was something entirely different. This all stemmed from a much cheaper problem. It was something inside him that he could not understand at the time, but would eventually come to terms with one day.
よし、距離は今なら2メートル弱。
He carefully judged the distance as he ran down the track of death. But the distance between what? That went without saying. There was a distance between himself and the one thing that could save his life. He told himself he was going to do it, over and over, like a mantra. Soujuurou could not believe himself. What he was about to do was incredibly stupid. But what is stupid when smart is not an option?
本当、なんでそこまでやるんだ。
Amidst it all, he left how pointless such self-reflection was now. Temporary confusion, a psychological thrill ride, both had laid his soul bare. What really mattered? Who's that? Oh wait, that's Aoko. But a simple man gets by without deep thought. Soujuurou's primitive mind did not crave success or reward. For him, it was simple. He wanted his own baddest team. He was doing it because he wanted to, not because he felt obliged to those around him. He just decided to live his way was his and his own.
行こう。
If the egg had been not equipped with a vocal function, it would have gasped in shock at what happened next. The boy who had only tried to escape up until this point suddenly shifted his weight. He pointed his feet outward instead of inward. On the edge of one rail, he crouched ever so slightly to maintain momentum and gazed at the floating egg.
やれる。距離的に問題はない。
He soared through the night sky. It was a flight that lasted a mere 1.5 seconds. A cordless bungee jump from 100 feet above ground. His destination? The only thing that would stop his fall? The giant flying egg. He shrieked this time out of elation. as it desperately clung to the egg's surface. Just earlier, the cold-blooded witch had told him that without fear, the top of a building would feel no different than a balanced beam. This from the same witch that would have been left speechless as she witnessed the spectacle. Fearlessness was one thing, recklessness was another. He followed it up with an act that would irritate her for days to come. Yeah, the one that's supposed to kill me. Clinging to the egg, he shifted his gaze away from it. He felt a rapid descent. Soujuurou, focusing his shut eyes on the ground, leaped up the egg once they were a few feet from the ground, then turned back to it, careful to re-establish eye contact. Something so unbelievable about the Soujuurou. The elevator at the department store and the mysterious floating egg were both just moving objects, virtually indistinguishable from one another.
よし、割れてない。食べ物を粗末にするのは良くないと思う。
He landed near the plaza. The shortcut that almost cost him his life had paid off. Soujuurou took up running the second his feet touched the ground. The puppet after Aoko was the only thing on his mind. He paid no mind to the moonlight in the sky. Or the egg, furious about being used and seconds away from self-destructing and blasting fragments all over the place. No omelette for me.
Aozaki!
Nanu?
Aoka's dumbfounded expression spurred Soujuurou on. The curse was complete. The anti-egg began to sing its warning to let them know there was no escape. Shrapnel from the egg exploded through the air. The ode to Queen Alice that Alice had graped into Dante quickly robbed him of his senses.
それはそれとして。
He stepped back to the task at hand and ran to Aoko, still lying on the ground. It seems like you're cooking a little bit. His legs ran up their own accord, though he could not have ever stopped them anyway since he could no longer feel them.
お前、驚くほどしつこいぞ。
Did he tackle her by the neck? Oh, so anyways, wow, pretty badass on your part too, buddy. Holy shit. The scrambled murder case. Piles of rubble became flowers of light, blooming from the earth. Wow. Did they explode? The beams? We're grabbing her by the booby. The final curtain closed, and the defeated left the battleground. Had Alice Kuonji seen it up close, it would have left there beside herself. The Chu had escaped by hair's breadth. The only person in a position to witness that rare mutual destruction was the girl who had been saved from it. You're welcome. The boy who had never stopped running paid it no mind.
死ぬかと思った。
As if the girl in his arms meant infinitely more to him than the miraculous way in which he saved her. Nah, boy. The moon did not wait for dawn to set. The ornamental texture of the fairy tale kingdom faded away. All the illusions returned to the way they were before. a lot of damage alongside it. Maybe. From the ostentatious chords vibrating through the streets, to the puppets welcoming their guests. Peace and quiet reigned once more over a forgotten kingdom, never to be awakened again. Out flickered the embers of a late-night dream. Even the electric lamps that illuminated the park. Together, they watched it disappear. Soujuurou lay on the ground, desperately gasping for air like a fish out of water. The curse of the exploding egg had numbed his pain, and he was understandably exhausted after all he had experienced. He looked like he could be blown away by the lightest of breezes. While Aoko was also exhausted, she was still in better shape. Focused on taking deep, even breaths, she was already working to recover her strength.
さ
Yeah? She had addressed Soujuurou indifferently as her kids remained at the amusement park. So how was the date? The abruptness of it was a bit theatrical in nature. She wanted to look at him as she spoke, but her pride was simply too great.
あなたなんかすごいことしなかった？
The moment she had accepted death had seemed like an eternity. She was beside herself in shock at how indifferent she had been as the shards rained down from the moon. But a reassuring voice had snapped her back into reality. Why did he do it? Why was it taking? What more other things did he have to do to pull it off? Yes. She had no answers for these questions. Lying on the ground as she was, all she knew was that he had more than made up for his failure in the House of Mirrors, and then some, in those fateful final moments. Oh, my cat's here. Give me one moment. She had listened hoping to find answers, but found herself unable to probe any further. To dig any deeper would feel like defeat, which is why it was so unlike her to ask him in the first place. Cute. Lucky for her, Soujuurou had neither the capacity nor sensitivity to understand how egocentric she was being.
すごいって、それは青崎の方だろ。
She stuttered between labored breaths. It was taking him so much effort just to breathe that he could not address her properly. She watched him out of the corner of her eye. Thinking back on it, the boy had performed the same role each time. Each and every time he did what he could in spite of his fecklessness. It was far more admirable than her nearly suicidal tactics, even if she did defeat her opponent. He did not even recognize how extraordinary his last act of courage was.
提案。あいつをやっつけるのに協力したら、俺のことは見逃してくれる？
At the very least, he had the courage to keep trying whatever he could. A spectator might have viewed him as a supporting actor. His actions were not exactly memorable. I mean, who else could jump off from a very high place like him? But the lead actress he supported, except for Tom Cruise, but the lead actresses he supported did not see it that way.
まあね。認めたくないし、口になんてもっとしたくないけど。
Such inspired actions were wasted in a supporting role. This guy really pulled off the impossible. It was so amazing that she wanted to shout it out loud as she possibly could for all the world to hear. Did you see what my boyfriend did there? He was amazing!
青崎？
ほんと、人畜無害もどうすぎると侮れないわ。
All Aoko could do was sighing. How could she not? Even she was forced to admit that the way he do snatched her from the jaws of death was dashing.
ま、評価甘めだけど。
Truth be told, he was lunatic for doing what he did. But he still did it anyway. She stayed there breathing and composed herself. She was in bad shape and she had their pride as a mage to consider, which was why she needed to maintain an air of dignity when making a proclamation.
しずきくん、見逃すのは今日だけって話だったけど、あれ、なしでいいわ。とりあえず、命は助けてあげるから。
She hastily extended her right hand. It was either to shake his or to help him up. However, Soujuurou did not take her hand but instead stood up on his own. This night, despite the sheer insanity that he had just experienced, his face had not once looked as incredulous as it did now.
何そのリアクションは。
What's been your reaction? She stammered word that she had deeply embarrassed herself. Soujuurou's gaze was fixed upon Aoko. What's up with yours? Huh? That problem had dawned on Aoko. Though she normally hated being stared at, this time she did not mind. Later, she was enjoying the warmth in his eyes and felt like it was something she could almost come to appreciate. Don't you get it? This isn't just about friendship, and I didn't mean he. Oh, that's him. I didn't mean he only likes you either. Believe me when I say that, Soujuurou really. The conversation came rushing back. It was a memory Bear left forgotten.
いかん、それは違う。
She just went in there and kicked those memories out of her head, pushing the motorsports out of her mind. Aoko turned to Soujuurou. Her own place she can always kill him if she wanted to. Her own mind.
それとこれは別だから。私はあんたのこととか、ほんとどうでもいいんだから。
Puzzled, Soujuurou tilted his head.
さっき嫌いだって言われたけど。
He responded matter-of-factly to her sudden declaration. Wanna try something original? Soujuurou said. She certainly had pointed that out, and to his face no less. It had a mere figure of speech that he was not meant to take literally. But now was not the time to belabor the point.
そうじゃなくて、あなたが私に惚れてても期待しないでって言ってるの。
Yet, belabor she did anyway. Aoko blushed slightly, realizing how inane she was being. The little small one that's playing with a toy currently, she had bitten Mio's ass yesterday. He's still staying beside her no matter what, which it's kind of honestly adorable. She wondered how she two ended up in this position, and yet she knew that she had to get this off her chest. All that was left was to politely wait for his response. I can't date you. Such heartbreakingly painful words were too much for the simple boy to hear. His shoulders slumped as if the world was coming to an end. Or so Aoko thought. On the contrary, Soujuurou was sitting there in deep thought.
俺が青崎に惚れてるって？
Did you assume what I like and don't like? Soujuurou murmured her words as if they were a magic spell. She shot right back with the affirmative. After a moment of deep contemplation, the boy turned to the expectant girl and said,
なんで？
He had to be joking, but he was not. He was completely serious. He liked her, but he didn't like her. Of course, the vice president had jumped to conclusions. This boy had no interest in romance. He probably didn't even know what that was. She was incredibly embarrassed by how confused Soujuurou still appeared to be. Her rosy complexion spread throughout her entire body.
もう一度聞くけど、なんで？
そりゃこっちが聞きたいわよ
Well, you didn't need to sucker punch him.
飛び丸の
That's not how you ask a question. That's not a Bimano. Punch him instead. Not this poor boy. Just like that. She had lost her cool and given an unjustifiable outburst. It was time to seal off the area and destroy all evidence. Aoko's embarrassment devolved into sheer panic, and her grudge against Tebimaro suddenly manifested as criminal assault. She lashed out with a punch that could have taken down a bird mid-flight. More specifically, it was a brutal right hook. Oh. Aoko blinked. Her blow had connected with something solid, snapping her out of her reverie. Her temper had lashed out at the completely defenseless Soujuurou. It had been a splendid blow with all her weight behind it, knocking him out cold. Soujuurou groaned, crumpling to the ground. Her punch finished the job that the Kurds had started. If not for the discomfort on his face, he appeared almost to be sleeping. Aoko convinced herself that he was napping and not concussed. I swear, officer, I did not punch him. He was, he was already sick, so, please don't tell my mother.
ま、いっか。予定通りになったものね。
The tension in her shoulders eased away. She looked down at Soujuurou. The dawn had gotten in her way over the course of the day, but the day was saved for now. With nobody left to butt heads, she felt exhaustion finally overtake her.
うわ、歩いて帰れるかな、私。
Her fatigue was enough to make her complain out loud. When she thought about it, she realized that this was the first time she had used up all of her magical energy, and the first time she had participated in a battle of this scale without any prior preparation. Though in truth,
私一人じゃどっちも相打ちだったっけ。
she felt somewhat proud as she whispered those words. Normally, it was something that she would beat herself up over, but instead she simply shrugged her shoulders with a bitter smile. After all, it was thanks to the person sleeping by her side.
ね、聞こえてないわよね。
Since the night had swelled their voice before it reached him, she received no response. Confident, she continued in an even quieter voice.
ありがとう。十分に助けてもらったわ。
Of course, there was no response from Soujuurou. She was not expecting one. Saying it for the record was enough. Aoko watched Soujuurou sleep for a while and then pulled something out of her pocket. It was the palm-sized glass bottle her roommate had given her, which she opened with a pop.
でも、それとこれとは別だから。
Laying behind words colder than a winter chill at night, she called out his name. She barely sensed the bottle moving. As the silhouette of the fallen boy appeared to blur, she got the feeling that the weight of the bottle had increased slightly.
うわ、どうなってんだろうこれ。
I am the very model of a modern Major General of Information.
What appeared to be a human form could barely be seen inside a glass. Alice Kuonji's tools were mystics that confounded even the most knowledgeable of mages. As soon as Aoko tried to analyze them with logical reason, she was already out of her depth. Knowing this all too well, Aoko close to a bottle and watched a boy disappear as if by some magic trick. I don't feel
こ
so
んなの
good.
手品じゃなくて魔法だって。
She muttered as she looked into the magical bottle. Its weight had not changed significantly, and she had no idea how it worked. But the one thing she did know was that there was a human being inside of it. Its light weight was almost unnerving. Closer to empty air than a human being. It was about as heavy as one would expect if they do bottle the summer breeze. No, that did fit her image of Soujuurou perfectly.
アリスの言う通り。
She muttered to no one in particular as she recalled recalled the past.
ほんと、私らしくない。
Aoko wore a bittersweet smile. Her usual moodiness was gone. It was a dangerous world out there. It was good to have someone to keep her on her toes. With a bright chuckle, she flicked the magical ball of her finger and set off walking. Oh no, Alice, I don't feel so good too. Why just still? She could hear a bell in the distance signaling the end of the play. Ah, okay, now it's ending. An ephemeral dream gave way to reality. In the grand scheme of things, it had been but an instant. As the actors exited stage left, the last of the lights silently flickered out. And so the long-dead amusement park played its final role as a memory for a boy and a girl. Like a dog. Ooh, told you though.